I guess while I'm out here, do a walk around of the Jeep. The hood's open still from putting those horns in. And right now, still the stock 258. Nothing's done to it. It's insanely wore out. I can accelerate a little bit going up a hill, but doesn't have much left in it. I threw a 2150 on it a couple of years ago, 6-7 years ago maybe. It's been alright. I got it off of eBay before they're sold on Amazon, and it's just, I don't know, I think something's wrong with it. I hate to spend money on it because I've got a AMC 360 at the machine shop right now. So I don't want to spend any money on anything on this other than what I need to keep me going. Like an alternator, for instance. I also converted it to hydroboost. Did that about maybe 4 years ago at this point. This is off of an Astrovan. This is the stock CJ master cylinder, which looks like it's weeping a little bit, which is fantastic. These two bolt up no problem at all. I made these lines here. They're okay. Let me see if I can zoom in. And you see how wet they are? I need to buy like the kit that has all the fittings just to run the proper lines and fittings, because these just, they're doing okay. They're not the best. And I think my power steering pump is about had it. But again, when I put the 360 in it, I'm gonna get a PSC pump and all that fun stuff. Over here, I was gonna run a dual battery setup. I kept talking myself in and out of it. Quite frankly, I just didn't want to pay for all the stuff. But I put some of those quote-unquote military terminals or battery lugs on here just to make connecting things a little bit easier. More Amazon specials. This is a relay block. I think it has 6 relays in it. That's a distribution block, so you can see my power going into it, and it's got I think 6 leads coming out of it. So they're coming out here, going in here. If you look under, see, I don't know how well I'll be able to see it. But that's where all the wiring is. So this, if I can do this one-handed. Man, it's really hard to look at the camera and look at what you're trying to work on. There we go. It's so freaking cold in here. I'm always worried I'm gonna like break some. Oh, there it goes. There. 6 relays, 6 fuses. It's kind of nice. I think I would rather spend the money, have spent the money on the like those solid state quote-unquote relay blocks that you can buy now. I think Holly sells them, but they're just expensive. This was dirt cheap on Amazon. Anyway, so I did do the headlight conversion. So I've got my headlights running, my high and low beams running through 2 of these relays. 2 relays I don't have, I'm not using right now. You can see the spare there. One is for my reverse light, and the other is for, I want onboard air, so I went ahead and wired that up. So I don't have those connected yet, the reverse light. I just have it spliced straight into the reverse light circuit now, but I want to be able to flip it on and off. And then I've got my front hella, you know, just auxiliary lights there. And then I've got one more spare for a fuel pump for fuel injection when I throw the 360 in. I also have switches inside for the winch on the front, and then I don't have it wired up yet, but an auxiliary power connection on the back. Let's see if I can get a better view of this. Here. This is from the battery, and I just made this little bus bar here to connect the two. That's going to the winch. I bought a big fuse for the winch, but I haven't plugged it in. I probably should. I think when I bought it off of Amazon, it's a 350 amp, and I think I'm gonna need more than that. So we'll see. The winch, of course, the 8274. I mean, nothing else should go on the front of a Jeep except the 8274. And I've got wire on it. I was trying to decide between rope and wire, and I want wire. So we'll see. Also have one of those low buck, like $100 HEI distributors. It seems to have been fine. A lot of people say they're junk and they throw them in the trash, but this one's been going for 3 years now. So, I don't know. So far, so good. I just needed to hold up. It's January now. I'm really hoping to have the 360 in by the end of the year. So, I'm hoping it'll hold up at least that long. But, it sure is giving me a run for the money. So we just looked at the engine and the front end, right, with the winch. Talked about my headlights. I wired those through relays. When I did that, actually, I've rewired the entire headlight circuit. It was a nightmare. When I bought the Jeep, it had this worn front bumper on it, which I actually like. I'm not usually a fan when companies cut their logo into the equipment, but so be it. I like the bumper. You know, they sell that kind of bar that loops up to quote unquote protect the front of the winch. I keep going back and forth on if I'm going to get it. I think I might one day after I'm done building a damn engine, because that's expensive. The Jeep is riding on their 31 1050s Dynapro, Hankook Dynapro. I think they're a tweener tire if I remember correctly. Been pleased with them. I drive the Jeep every day. My commute's not long, 8 miles a day, but they've held up really well. I haven't had a lot of chances to get off-road with them yet. I'm hoping to have more this year. The suspension. I did the YJ front leaf conversion, and like most everyone, I used the Old Man Emu 2.5-inch lift springs. And if you look online on like the CJ forums, I feel like there was a debate on, do you use the CJ shackles or YJ shackles? I went YJ. In my opinion, if you're converting the thing to quote-unquote YJ suspension, why would you not change the shackles to the YJ as well? So that's what I did. I'm pretty sure these shackles are from Moore Mountain Off-Road Engineering. Pretty sure that's where they came from. Same with the conversion hanger. And then that's all I used to put in the YJ springs. And then I bought these Curry flat spring plates. Man, one of these days I'll figure out how to do proper lighting. But you can see they're flat. And then, just like the original spring plates, the shocks on the front, the shocks mount to the axle. On the back, the shocks mount to the spring plates. On the front, the sway bar mounts to the spring plates. Here's the passenger side, which is kind of tricky when you're doing the YJ conversion, but I mean, I just kind of threw it together and it's been riding fine for almost a decade now. My shocks, let's see, Bilstein 5125s, if I remember correctly. I wonder if I can see that. Same in the rear. Nothing special in the rear about the YJ conversion, because the springs in the back are already 2.5 inch. And the Bilstein's tucked away in there. And then the Curry spring plates with the shocks attached to them. Pretty good setup. Happy with it. It's an old CJ, so it rides like a brick no matter what. There's all the parts off of the old 360. I'm going to strip it down to go to the machine shop, which is where it's at right now. Another thing on the outside, it's the Best Top soft top. It is a piece of garbage. If you're looking for a soft top for a CJ, if you can find one, it's not made by Best Top, I would recommend it. These tops, I guess they spend all their money on JKs and JLs, which I guess you can't really blame them, right? But these tops are garbage. They don't fit well. The parts don't fit the bodies well. The doors, you gotta really work to close the door. You can see the gap. The tailgate is an enormous pain in the neck. You have to unzip it, stick your hand in, push the tailgate in to get the latches to undo, because of the way this seals. It makes the sealing surface so fat that you really have to work to get your tailgate to open and close. It's a huge pain. I don't recommend it to anyone. On the inside, God, it's so dark in here. I don't know if you'll be able to see anything. Nothing too special, right? It's a regular old CJ. Mine has all the gauges. I'm assuming that's how it came from the factory, and no previous owner just cut it. They did mangle the hole for the radio. So I bought one of these cover plates by Control, or however you pronounce the name. And what I did, because I really like listening to music, someone on NC4x4 said you can get these. It's a Pile Bluetooth amplifier. And all it is, once it gets 12 volts to it, you just Bluetooth it to your phone, and that's it. I mean, I have a RAM mount sitting there, and I just control my music through my phone, and that's it. It has this volume knob that came with it, right? That's kind of where the stock radio would sit. That volume knob is more of a suggestion than anything. You're better off controlling the volume through your phone. And because I do daily drive it, you know, I put some 12 volt outlets in, one cigarette lighter, and 2 USBs. Here's my twin stick from a Dana 300. The Dana 300 I re-geared with 4-to-1 gears, which is nice when you're crawling around and trying to move equipment around on a farm or anything like that. One thing I did on my Tuffy console, I didn't want to hide a radio in here, so the space now is full of wires, right? All of my switches that are linked to that relay block in the engine compartment, you know, these are all the switches for that. This is an in-cab control for the winch, so I can go in and out here if I need to, or I can still hook up the hand control. That arms the winch, that arms the auxiliary power in the back. This arms the, or this turns on the front auxiliary light. That's the rear auxiliary light. That is for the onboard air, and that is for the electric fan. I wanted to be able to turn that electric fan off in case. Just in case. And that's really it. Nothing too special. Got an air fuel gauge down there that I never really use because I'm using the bung that comes stock on the 258 manifold, and it's made for narrow band, not wide band, so it's a little too close in the back. It's kind of a nightmare back here right now, but I've got the best top fold and tumble seat, which I've got folded now because I just had to take a big box to the UPS store. One of my kids' car seats is just kind of thrown in here right now just in case I need to pick them up from school. And then some exhaust parts again for when I throw the 360 in it. So, not bad. If you come outside. This summer, I think I'm going to try to get this hardtop finished. And so my plan is to, in the wintertime, throw the hardtop on it and leave the hardtop on it in the wintertime. Summertime, I'll leave the soft top on it because it's nice having the full soft top with my kids in the back. Otherwise, they just get blasted by the sun while my wife and I are underneath the bikini top. I guess I should have mentioned when I was in there, I can walk over here. The transmission was a T5. The T5 blew up on me on the way to work one day. There it is right there. It totally grenaded third gear, so I threw an AX15 in it. And that's when I also re-geared the transfer case. I clocked my transfer case as flat as I could. At the same time, because you got to buy the adapter ring for the AX15, and most of them you can clock the transfer case, so I went ahead and did it. And then I used the Barnes 2-inch drop skid plate to mount the transmission back up there with. Since the AX15 is a little bit longer than the T5, you know, you just buy that and then drill the holes for the trans mounts. The rear end is a Dana 44 out of an 86 CJ. 373 gears with a TruTrac. Good. Also put the OEM 20-gallon tank in it. And then the front is just the stock Dana 30. And over Thanksgiving this past year, I re-geared it, 373, obviously, with a Spartan. And then I've got a set of early 6-bolt hubs that I'm gonna throw on it, hopefully sometime soon. I learned the hard way that drum hubs do not fit discs, so I bought the correct disc 6-bolt hubs. So that I can run the better and stronger 6-bolt Warren locking hubs. If I can get this thing closed. Man, it's hard to do stuff with one hand. That's it. The rear bumper is the same worn rear bumper, but without a tire carrier. I've got the stock tire carrier on it. And then those are just some Nerf bars. Again, the previous owner bought all that stuff for it. He also repainted it, and he did just a stellar job. Absolutely stellar job of repainting it. Just stellar. And there's stuff like that everywhere. I mean, I understand it's an old Jeep, but if you're gonna go through the trouble to repaint something, at least make it look halfway decent. Alright, that's it. That's a quick, silly walk around of the Jeep.